And we're live. Welcome, everyone. How are you? Welcome to another Let's Dev stream here on the Unity Twitch channel. And I have a very special guest that I'm so excited about. First time exclusive face reveal of Code
Exactly.
Monkey. Is anyone surprised that he is not a monkey?
Right.
I'm so disappointed.
Hey everyone.
Hugo, introduce yourself. Tell us what you do and why the entire community loves you so much.
Sure, thanks. Hey everyone. So yeah, my name is Hugo. I run the Code Monkey YouTube channel. And this is my face, I guess. There's always
We need a close up. Wait, hold on. We need a close up of that face.
There's always a bunch of comments every once in a while asking for a face reveal. So I guess this is it. So now whenever I get those comments, I can just direct people back into the bottom of this live stream. That's going to answer the question.
Yeah, exactly. You have to come now to Twitch to be able to see this. Unity Tech in chat is saying the legend has been revealed. Indeed.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, so tell us what you've been doing and tell us what you do on your YouTube channel.
Right, so on my YouTube channel, I do all kinds of Unity tutorials, pretty much anything that I can think of that I would like to do on camera and teach other people how to do. That's pretty much what I do. So pretty much anything related to Unity. I first started making games. So eventually I realized that I wanted to try teaching essentially what I've learned over the years. So yeah, that's why I started the channel about 3 years ago. And yeah, it's been like 500 videos ever since. So yeah, quite a bit.
500, nice.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to do something special when you reach 1,000. I was gonna say face reveal, but I guess not.
Yeah.
We'll do something special for you at the 1,000 video mark. That will be a special occasion. Nice. So today's stream is going to be about part of your How It's Made series. So for those who don't know, we have the video was right here. It's part of our Humble Bundle pack, our whole Humble Bundle showcase. Let's take a look at it right here. As you probably saw, Code Monkey made a bunch of videos to advertise and to promote the new Humble Bundle pack that we did with Unity. Comes with a lot of assets, comes with a lot of tools as well. We wanted to show you guys how you can make your own FPS game. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what else you're going to be doing in that video?
Sure, yeah. We're going to be remaking some mechanics from Verdun. So the game is pretty interesting and it's included in the bundle. So if you get the bundle, even if you just get it for the assets, definitely give the game a try. It's pretty interesting. It's a first-person shooter, World War One. There's also Tannenberg, which is kind of the sequel. So it's essentially one is focused on the Western Front, the other one on the Eastern. So pretty interesting games. And being World War One, they're pretty unique. So yeah, the bundle has lots of things. Now I made the video before the bundle started, so I didn't actually end up using a lot of these assets, but you could definitely use them. For example, the character movement fundamentals. I've been looking into this one a bit more deeply, and it's really awesome. It's really super simple to use, and it works on pretty much any kind of terrain. So if you get it, definitely look into this one. And yeah, you got the game here. Then of course you got all kinds of environments. So you could definitely just use any of these and use in pretty much any game. So in my case, I pretty much just used the terrain, but I could have used any of these because, yeah, a lot of these assets, even though this is an FPS bundle, this really works for anything you want. So a lot of these sci-fi, you could make a ship game, you can make a strategy game, pretty much anything. So yeah, this bundle and the fantasy bundle, which is also ongoing, both of them are really great value, really awesome. Lots of interesting assets, lots of awesome stuff, yeah.
Nice. Thank you. So if you want to go check out the bundle, we're going to throw the link in chat. It helps supports Code Monkey, but it helps supports us too. So definitely just click away as much as possible. I'm also going to throw the link to the fantasy bundle, which we featured yesterday. It got extended an extra 6 days. So definitely go click out both. They're great bundles. The fantasy one is awesome too. You can get Odin in there. Lots of really cool tools. You don't necessarily need to be making a fantasy game. There's not just 3D assets in there, so definitely go check it out. Are you guys hearing double? Is there an echoing? No! We will never resolve it.
There was an issue a while ago, but I think I solved it, but I'm not sure. Because the audio mixer was still showing, but I think I solved it, so let me know in chat.
Yeah. Wow, didn't expect his voice to be exactly as his video. Oh, it's fixed. Okay. magically through the
Great,
magic
no
of
problems.
just don't touch anything
No.
anymore. Thanks, chat. Thanks for being so patient with us about all of this. For those who don't know, the Humble Bundle is a pay what you want, but depending on the tier you pay, you can get all kinds of great assets. This is a really great bundle, though. For like, $50 or less than even $25, you can get $1,000 worth of assets that you can use for other games, just like Hugo said. So definitely go check it out. We only do it really once a year, although if you guys are really interested, maybe we'll have to be convinced to do another one. We'll see. This one is really awesome because it benefits the Carbon Fund Foundation and Oceana, so you're also supporting some great charities in this case. I think something to make this stream extra spicy is if we should do some giveaways. We're going to be giving away some official Unity Lego minifigures. For those who don't know, Unity and Lego are super awesome partners. Look out for more Lego content coming out in the next couple of weeks. But I don't know, what would your community, how do we give away, what do we do to give away some nice Lego minifigures to your community? What should we ask them?
Not sure. Not sure. I've done so many things, so trying to pick something.
Yeah. Well, I love the How It's Made series, and I think people love it too. I think it's a great way to learn. I think oftentimes when you start game development, it's so natural to be. I get this question a lot as a community manager at Unity. Is like, hey, how do I make the next COD? Or
Right.
so I think your series is really awesome for that, because then you can look at the game that you really loved, and then you can learn all the mechanics for it, and it's a great way to learn instead of just like jumping into just a single mechanic.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you break it down, pretty much any game is composed of simple things. So when you see a final game, when you see something like Call of Duty, it seems impossibly complex. But if you break it down system by system, then it's actually just a bunch of simple systems built together, and then it looks really complex. So if you learn how to look at games from that way, starting to see things system by system, then all of a sudden everything becomes much more easy to understand how things work.
Yeah, I think that's why I'm like super excited about this stream, because for me, an FPS game just seems so complex, but the way you're going to break down everything today is going to be like, oh wow, I never thought of that. And the best part is you're probably going to give insight into be like, well, this mechanic seems like it's only for this particular FPS game, but actually you can use it for this type of game and this other type of game. So it's really awesome. So I think we should ask the chat, what's the next game that you want to see Code Monkey break down in the next How It's Made series? So we'll take your suggestions.
Sure.
Throw it in chat. What's the next big game that you want to see? Pick something hard. Right. All right. So let's go take a look. Do you want to open up Verdun and play it a little bit? And
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. I'm sorry. Pepper is going to be very vocal during this stream, as per usual. All right.
Oh, sorry, just trying to manage all the streams, OBS, and everything at the same time.
We are
It's a
both
bit-
streaming. We are streaming to. So if you want to support Code Monkey, go watch the stream here on Twitch at Unity, but also watch his stream on YouTube if you would so please.
All right, so I think
Nice.
all right. Okay, so let me join a random game.
So what did you think of this game?
It's pretty interesting, yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's pretty unique. The fact that it's a World War I shooter. I mean, there's plenty of shooters, but usually World War I is not a thing that you usually see.
Yeah.
And it's actually pretty realistic. The main thing about the game is just how punishing it is, pretty much. Like pretty much every weapon here is pretty much one shot, one kill. So yeah, you're just walking around, just walking around, and boom, one shot and you're gone. But it also works the other way. So if I hit someone, then just one shot. Oh crap! There's an artillery here. There you go. So there's one of the systems that we're going to look into. Essentially, an enemy fired an artillery, so it just looks. And yeah. So yeah, the game is pretty interesting. It has a lot of very interesting systems. There you go. It's really one shot and it's gone.
You're gone. This is, how do you feel about these really unforgiving games, unforgiving, quote unquote, or very difficult games to play nowadays? I think that's like we often call them like the souls of games.
No, yeah, I mean, it's great to have variety. So I'm a big fan of Battlefield, which is definitely a lot more arcadey. But then you got this, so you got different styles. So all of them, it's always great to change things around. So a little bit of something a bit more arcade and a bit of something much more hardcore. It's always interesting, keep it fresh.
Akuno in chat says, Code Monkey actually looks badass.
Okay, thanks. I guess.
And Janisku says, great Humble Showcase streams. Thank you. Yeah, we're trying to give you guys as much variety as possible. We're going to be showing a lot more streamers. We want to feature all the people that you've been using to learn how to use Unity. Want to have them come on and join us. So I'm really excited to have Code Monkey. He recently did a Unity Tips Dev Takeover. One of our.
Oh yeah, that was also very interesting to make. Yeah.
Awesome. What was your favorite tip from that series?
I'm not sure. They're all pretty great. I mean, the minimap, that's something that I've already done in a video, so now making it in a tip, it's something that it's super simple to make, and it works pretty great. So essentially just based on using a second camera and the render texture. So yeah, so essentially making that mini video, making a minimap in just 60 seconds really shows just how quick and easy you can do. So yeah,
Nice.
once again, it's what we were talking about a while ago, where all of these games seem insanely complex, but really when you break it down, for example, a minimap, it seems insanely complex, but it can actually be quite simple.
Nice. Yeah. So all of this the reason we're doing so many of these showcase streams and things like that is to really try and educate you, give you the tools you need to participate in our Humble Bundle showcase. So as you know, we have showcases on Unity Play every month, and we're going to do one for the Humble Bundle. So if you already have some of the assets from the Humble Bundle, or if you don't, and you've downloaded it recently, or you've already had it, or you've made a demo, or any type of game that you want to showcase, definitely submit to the Humble Bundle showcase. I'm going to be playing with Joyce of Minions Art, also another great Twitch streamer and shader witch, as she's known in her community. And we'll see what you guys made. So yeah, definitely submit them. Awesome. So it looks like we're definitely going to be taking a look at that artillery breakdown, like a drop mechanic. And then, what else would you like to take a look at during the stream?
What was it? Well, let me just go into a place with bots so I can easily show it working. Because yeah, testing out, seeing those mechanics in a game with lots of players, yeah, it's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the game does have bots, so it's pretty great.
I'm assuming the game has some sort of single player story mode as well.
Actually, story mode, I don't think so. It's pretty much
really?
a multiplayer game. I don't think so. At least I just jumped into multiplayer right away. So, but yeah, so the three mechanics. It's the artillery. So essentially, look somewhere, and just gotta make sure that I'm using the right squad. But yeah, you look somewhere, then it's then it shows a marker on where it's going to land. Let me see if because some of them have, some of them don't. Actually, I actually forgot to change one thing just to make this easier.
No worries. Chat's throwing a lot of great games as suggestions. Lomi Gang says, Code Monkey should break down the FPS Outer Wilds. Lucky for you.
Actually, I did that already, so yeah, great.
Yeah. Perfect.
Trying to look at chat, but it's going by insanely fast.
No worries.
It's tricky.
Yeah, I think your chat is very, very active. I got a message saying I wasn't expecting Code Monkey to be this cute.
Right? Thanks, I guess.
This is it, lads.
If you would like Code Monkey to have camera on for his future videos, let us know in chat.
That would be tricky. Because yeah, staying focused with the camera in my face, I must say it's not really my thing.
Nice.
Alright, so I
Welcome
got
also to the Code Monkey chat. I'm checking out the Twitch chat, but I just want to definitely say hello to the guys over there because you guys are very active, it would seem. My moderators are having trouble keeping up with you.
Okay, so here I've got the officer class. So I'll just try to go somewhere where I won't die instantly. Okay. So essentially by pressing a button, you can see that it shows a little overlay, a little target. So it shows where it's going to land. And now I just actually got to wait for the sector artillery to be available. So that's one of the things. So again, it's like I said in my video, just by looking at this, try to guess how would you make this. Just pressing a button and being able to have a target directly placed on terrain exactly where you're looking at. So try to guess. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
But yeah, so essentially you'll look somewhere, then you press the button, and it spawns an artillery right there. So it starts firing some mortars, some artillery. You can even see on the minimap there's a nice little icon. And after a while, things start falling down and everything explodes.
All the explosions.
Yeah.
Nice. Blake Lull already kind of guessed it. Some Raycast.
Yep, exactly.
Gee. Exactly. Yeah, so Doctor, this is kind of a continuation of his video, how it's made for done, but it's more of a deep dive. So that was like a quick run through of how he did everything, but we're really going to show you guys how he's going to do it in the stream. So if you have any particular questions or other things you want to add, so it's like if you want to have the same mechanic in your game, but you want to figure out how to add some sort of additional features, let us know and we'll do it. We'll do it on stream for you guys.
Right, so actually now that I've seen, now we can actually look at the, since I'm in a bot, it's no problem to going AFK on a bot thing, so next I got my remake here. So this is the project that I made that I recorded for that video. And over here I've got my demo scene. So yeah, right, so this is my demo one. Just mute the game because sound is a bit distracting. Sounds great, but yeah.
It does sound great.
Right, so this is my demo scene. So I've got my player, pretty much just a very normal first-person controller. So like I was saying, on the over here, you could use, for example, this one, or the Ultimate FPS. That one also has a controller. So you could use any of these. Now, so yeah, just a standard first-person controller, and then down here I'm using just the terrain and just a bunch of trees. And then of course, like someone said, there's a Raycast, so as I press a button, I can already see my target, and wherever I look on the terrain, you can see the target goes exactly where it is. So again, that's the very basic Raycast. And then by pressing another button, I can simply mark, and there you go, after a few seconds, some explosions come in, and the whole thing falls. So once again, as you see, it's it looks complex in the game if you take the whole game into account, but if you look at just this one system, yeah, it's pretty simple. Just do a Raycast and spawn some things. So if you look in the code, it's actually quite simple. It's right here. So it's this script, pretty much very simple, very small. Yeah, so pretty much exactly like someone said, yeah, there you go. Just a physics Raycast, that's pretty much it. So the Raycast, in case you don't know, it's essentially a laser that exists in the physics world. So it identifies things that have a physics collider. So in this case, I'm using a terrain. So right here, this is a terrain object, and as you can see, it has a terrain collider. So essentially, the terrain exists in the physics world. So that is why over here, just doing a Raycast, then the Raycast takes an origin direction. So for the origin, starts from the player transform position. Then for the direction, it's the transform forward, which I guess this would be a nice quick tip, because a lot of people don't seem to know there's the forward vector. So that is really useful for seeing where a transform is pointing towards. So that's really useful. Yeah, so this does a raycast, and then the results of the raycast go onto the raycast hit. So this is a structure that contains all kinds of info. So you can inspect and see everything that it has. So it essentially has the collider that it hit, the exact point where it hit, the normal, and so on. So as you can see, lots of interesting data that you can use. And of course, it simply takes the transform visual. So that's just a transform reference. So over here, if you look in the player, if I look in the script, there it is. So just got a reference to the camera, and then over here, reference to the transform visual. So here it is, the target. And just for fun, I also added a nice animation, so just up and down, pretty simple. So yeah, pretty much what it does is just a raycast in order to find the exact point. So the point is going to be over here on the raycast hit.point, and then pretty much just move that one in there.
Nice.
Right.
My dog approves.
Great.
That's a great tip.
So yeah, as you can see, it's pretty simple. Pretty much just a raycast, then listening for another key press, and then just spawning some artillery on that raycast position. So pretty much just store the position, and then for the spawning the things, it's really just instantiating a bunch of prefabs. So just grab a random one from the list, then instantiate it, call destroy, which here's another quick tip. Just in case you don't know, destroy also has a second parameter. So you might use it just like this. So essentially just destroys and destroys instantly. But you can use it with the second parameter, which is actually the time that it is destroyed. So when you want to spawn something that you want it to be destroyed after some time, this is great. So essentially after 5 seconds, this game object gets destroyed. So everything is nicely cleaned up. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, another interesting thing, it's for the screen shake. So for the camera, I'm using the Cinemachine component. So I got Cinemachine, I just look around, I press, and after a while, yep, there you go, some really nice screen shake. So if you want to know the easiest way to do it, well, if you're using Cinemachine, it's actually quite simple. So here I've got my camera, and it's using the Cinemachine brain. And then on the player, it has a virtual camera, and it has a Cinemachine impulse listener. And then on the player itself, it also has an impulse source. So these two components work together. And over here in the code, you essentially just have a reference, just trigger generate impulse, and it's going to make sure that this fires an impulse on the Cinemachine system, which then on the virtual camera listens to that and then shakes the camera. So if you want to know how to do some very simple screen shake, yep, that's pretty much it.
Nice. This is perfect because yesterday Manisha was on the stream and she was there to give some great game jam tips, and that's exactly kind of the suggestion we make. So it's perfect. She also used Cinemachines to try to show how you can make really simple cutscenes for your game. It's really great to make like press kit stuff and whatnot to use Cinemachine. So it's perfect. You can go check out that stream. It's really simple to install Cinemachine actually.
Yeah.
And to get it working.
Super useful, very easy. Yeah, it's really awesome.
Yeah. I know that one of your Unity tips was also to create like for collision and stuff like that, how to make exploding elements. So if you guys want to go check that out, Unity devs tip, when CodeMonkey did a takeover, you can go check that out.
Yeah, that one was using ProBuilder, which is also another super useful Unity package.
Nice. Awesome. This is a good tip. You can ask questions anytime during the stream and we will answer them. So
yeah, sure.
throw
I'm seeing
them
a
at
lot
us.
of things on chat, but yeah, kind of hard to keep up.
For those who don't know, this is a stream featuring CodeMonkey, part of our Humble Bundle showcase streams for all the entire month of September. We're inviting a lot of influencers to come on and show us how they use the Humble Bundle to break down games or give us tips for game jams or anything you like.
People are saying my screen looks blurry. Does it?
You might be lower quality on Twitch. For sure, the quality on YouTube is going to be a little bit higher because the encoding is a little bit better on YouTube. So sorry, Twitch is a little bit tricky with that. I've seen this question pretty often when you post it as well, and I saw this. It's been asked by Prisgoda. Hello, how to make Cinemachine work with the new input system? I want to rotate only when the mouse right button is down. And actually a lot of people are asking what to do. I don't know if you can answer this, but a lot of people are asking like what to do with this new, like this asset pack, for example, from Humble Bundle. It doesn't often perfectly work out of the box with the new input system. What's your advice for that?
I mean, that's going to depend on each asset pack. So I'm pretty sure I was looking over here on the character movement fundamentals. I was looking in the manual, and I'm pretty sure they do have something there where it's pretty much if the input is nicely separated, then it's pretty easy to swap out. But yeah, that's really going to depend on each on the specific asset that you're using. So yeah, a lot of these assets have been updated over time, so that's great. It means that they're very stable by now. But at the same time, it means that if the first version came out quite a long time ago, then yeah, they're probably using the legacy input manager by default. So yeah, but it depends on the. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw on the manual for that one that it did talk about the new input system. And then for the input system combined with Cinemachine, I mean, that really depends on what exactly you're doing, because those two systems aren't really connected automatically. At least I don't think. I mean, because where's my Cinemachine? Right here, the virtual camera. So essentially over here, you've got all of the settings that you set, and these are pretty much input agnostic. So most of these will follow a virtual target. So for example, in my case, I've got a camera target here. So this object, let me put side by side. So this target, take it. Okay, so that object, that is essentially what Cinemachine is following. So Cinemachine doesn't know how that object is actually moving. It just knows to follow exactly that object, stay exactly behind it, so just like that. So yeah, essentially all of that to say that the input system in Cinemachine should be pretty separate, so you should be able to use Cinemachine on using the legacy input manager or the new input system. It should work with either of them.
Awesome, thank you for that. All right, so do we jump into the next mechanic? I'm kind of excited for this one. This one has a lot of good, juicy tidbits in it.
Right, so... Okay, so for the other one, the next one is the gas mechanic, which is also very, very interesting. I just need to swap out the squad, because essentially in the game, each squad, each character has different abilities. So for example, on this one, the US Doughboys, apparently they got Creeping Barrage. Now I gotta find one that has the... There you go, the mustard gas, which is pretty much a staple in every World War I game, pretty much. Alright, so there. Another thing also that I didn't cover in the video, but also interesting, as you can see the UI element over there. It's kind of hard because I want to point, but I can't point to it.
There.
But yeah, on the phosgene gas, exactly. Over there, it's a little circular thing. That's actually super easy to do. Just make sure that I don't break anything. Because that is actually super useful and super easy, but a lot of people probably don't know about. So essentially just making an image, and for the image just choose a sprite. So for example, just a random circle sprite, and then on it over here on the image type you can set it into filmed, and over here you've got the film method. You can set it to radial or horizontal. So if you set it to radial, then over here you've got the film amount, and if you modify this one you get something like that. So then you can change here the origin. So for example, put it on the top, and then not this one, on the game. You can see that it's just an outline, so it's not a whole thing. So you can essentially just combine this with a mask. So essentially just make another image. And now I'm not sure if I have just a texture that it works. Yeah, pretty much just this. Just add the mask component. And then make this one channel that one. And over here on the mask, do not show the mask graphic. Actually, it's reversed. But yeah.
Lurking Ninja says, Pac-Man for the win. Correct. You can make your own Pac-Man game now.
Yeah, exactly. For this, you could just use a circle, and yeah, if you put it on the left, right, and pretty much just animate it a little bit like that. That's Pac-Man.
Nice. So that's what I expect to see for the Humble Showcase, guys. I want to see an FPS game featuring Pac-Man.
So yeah, there you go, like this. That'll make something very simple. Now, if the other texture was with alpha on the middle, then you would get essentially what you see in the game. So as you can see, using the image type, setting it to film, just in case you don't know, this is super useful. So anytime you want to do something, yep, super easy, super useful. That, and of course the mask. The mask is also extremely useful.
Awesome. Thanks for that too.
Yeah. All right, so here I'm just looking at the map, surrounded by bots. Okay, so I fired that one, and actually for firing the gas, the mechanic is pretty much the exact same thing as the artillery. No differences. Instead of spawning just some mortars, you spawn a bunch of gas. There you go, the gas starts showing up in there. Actually, I should have posted a bit closer to me. Right, so the gas starts showing up. And if I go inside, yep, you can see that everything is nicely blurred. The whole thing, I'm losing my health, so yep. Stayed way too long. So obviously, the gas kills you.
Yep.
Right, so yeah, this is one of the things is having the screen go blurry. So that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see a little bit of vignettes coming in as well.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah, by just adding a bit of post-processing, you can really add all kinds of effects, all kinds of interesting things. Okay, so now the other thing that the game has is obviously counter to the gas, so you can put on a gas mask. And when you do, you can see vision is a bit more limited, because there's essentially a sprite on top. But now you can go inside the gas, and you can look around, you don't take damage. So that's pretty much the system. So you've got an area where if you go in without a mask, you start taking damage, and if you put on the mask, then everything works fine.
Yeah, this is awesome, by the way. I'm learning a lot as well. I love that you break it down, because when you're looking at this, it feels like there's so many things, but it's really simple the way you break it down. There's like 3 basic mechanics that you need to learn, which we learned a little bit of it already in the previous mechanic. So that's how you build a game.
Yep.
Out of curiosity, which version of Unity are you using for this?
I'm using the LTS version, so 2020.3.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty much. When in doubt, always use the LTS version. That's I made a video quite a while ago explaining the Unity versions because quite a lot of people seem to have, because there's a lot of them. So yeah, I can see how for a beginner it can be a bit confusing. But once you understand how the system works, it's actually very straightforward. So pretty much when in doubt, go with LTS, which as of right now, it's 2020.3.
Yeah. Is there any situation where you would actually really recommend any of the more experimental versions?
Well, I mean, the only thing would be if you're actually trying to work on the packages that require that version. So pretty much if you're working on the bleeding edge, trying to make the things that are currently in development, that's pretty much. So for example, using dots, using entities for that, that's the kind of thing that's always on the bleeding edge. So for that one, usually you have to work with the latest version.
Nice. Thanks.
Right, and again, just very quickly talking a while ago about post-processing and how much of a difference it makes. So for example, here's a scene with and without post-processing. So yeah, you can see it's a pretty huge difference just by adding a bunch of effects. So over here I've got some vignette, I've got some bloom of course, and then just some color adjustments and tone mapping. So yeah.
I would like to beg for everyone not to overuse the bloom. I'm old. My eyes cannot handle that much. I find like too much movement in bloom now makes me immediately want to throw up. So.
All right. So did you play Oblivion or not?
No, I didn't. I recently tried to play. I recently tried to play Doom, the latest Doom, and I can last like 5 minutes at a time if I turn off every visual effect there is.
Yeah, but back in the 2005, back when graphics cards were becoming better and better, there was a time right around when Oblivion came out, everybody was just abusing bloom. If you go and see Oblivion gameplay, pretty much everything is shiny, all the people, all the faces, everything.
Yeah, chat
So,
is
yeah.
vehemently arguing with me. Vehemently arguing with
I
me
mean,
that
bloom
bloom
is
is
important,
critical.
but if it goes like this, that's a bit way too much. So definitely bring it down to something a bit more manageable.
Yeah.
All right, so for the gas mechanic,
Twisted Verve says just means it's important to give users settings to turn it off. Yeah, I agree.
sure,
Always
yeah, of course, always add it in the options.
That's a very nice quality of life options. Like oftentimes, I judge game jam games a lot, and we critique games or review them, and we talk to a lot of other developers, like from our Creator Spotlight series. And you'd be surprised how often we spend time thinking about what makes the best user experience. As much as you spend time on creating mechanics and beautiful stories and all these things, you'd be surprised oftentimes the developers sit there and think a lot about what's going to make a user not throw up halfway through the game.
Yeah, that's pretty important.
Yeah. Crucial, I would say.
Right, so here is my mechanic with the thing. So you can see, again, I'm using the same terrain, the same first-person controller, so pretty standard. And I've got a nice health bar, so we've got a simple health system implemented. And then over there, I got a bit of gas. So if I go in, yep, you can see that the whole scene changes. Now I'm taking some damage, so everything is nicely blurry. Everything is a lot more green. So yep, if I stay there way too much, I die. So instead, I can equip a gas mask. And now if I go inside, and nope, there's no issues. So now I can stay here, I can do everything, and yep, it all works. So that's pretty much the mechanic. So if you go inside, the visuals change, you start taking damage, and if you take the mask, then you can go inside, there's no issues. Alright, so again, this one is also pretty easy to make. So for the visual itself, it's pretty much just a particle system. So the Unity particle system is super useful. So you have a look at that, pretty much just some particles just moving up, just some basic shape. They're in a cone, so just around this area, just constantly spawning, moving up, increasing, and then just on the color over a lifetime. So they start off a bit faded, then they become white and then fade away. So just a basic particle system. Then over here on the gas, first of all for the visual, which you saw the visual difference, which actually on the scene camera also works. So if I go inside, you can see the whole post-processing, everything changes. So that is using the volume component, which is how you add post-processing. And over here on the mode, the usual thing that you might do is a global. That's how you apply post-processing to the whole thing. But you can also apply it to local. And if you combine that with a collider, so if I enable Gizmos, you can see over there, I've got a sphere collider. And as soon as I go within that area, you can see that it changes. So essentially, this volume, these post-processing settings, these are going to override the global ones, because it's got over here the priority higher than the other one. So the default one is over here. It's got a priority of 0. So on this one, when it's local and with a higher priority, so this one takes over. So if I'm outside, then go inside. So as you can see, making areas with completely different visuals, it's very easy. You really just make a sphere collider, make it local, and yep, it works great.
Awesome. Quick question. Which render pipeline are you using for this?
I'm using the URP, Universal Render Pipeline. Yeah, that's
Nice.
pretty much what I use all the time also, yeah.
So I know you're using the particle system. It's really awesome. Essentially, it's like, the way that we do that fog or gas, like it's kind of like sprites. Any advice on if you want to build the same thing using VFX graph? Have you taken a look at more real-time visual effects?
I mean, I haven't looked into it in about a year, but yeah, it's I mean, they both have their use case. So essentially, the main difference is that this particle system, this one runs on the CPU, whereas the VFX graph runs on GPU. So for this one, you're limited to like a couple hundred particles, whereas on the VFX graph, you can get millions of particles. So that's the main difference. It's where each system runs. But yeah, you could definitely make this one using the VFX graph. It's a lot more capable, but also a bit more complex. So pretty much every tool has its use. So that's an interesting thing, because one comment that I see every once in a while, it's essentially asking, does the VFX graph essentially replace the particle system? And the answer is it doesn't. They both do different things. So So they both can coexist. Essentially, one is not a direct upgrade to the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, perfect. That's kind of basically what I was trying to get at. Is oftentimes people are trying to rebuild things in VFX Graph, totally.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely use cases for them. Agreed, Pepper.
Right. So that's the particle system and the visuals. That's the post processing. And then for identifying if the player is inside, so just got a basic script. So essentially, once again, it's using physics, except in this case, it's not trying to identify just a laser going somewhere. Instead, it's using overlap sphere. So this is kind of, imagine a virtual sphere existing in the physics world. And what this one does is it tests if there's any colliders. So it returns a collider array. So this will return all of the colliders that are colliding with a virtual sphere that is on this position, with this range, and also with this layer mask. So when working with the physics system, you're going to deal with layers quite a lot. So yep, another quick tip, just in case you don't know, you can use the layer mask struct. So this one is super useful. And if you look in the inspector, yep, this is what it looks like. So essentially you've got a drop-down menu where you can select multiple layers. So you can select multiple of them or just one and so on. So in case you don't know, because sometimes people working with layers, the first thing that you see is that they work based on integers, and that is really confusing to handle. You got to do a lot of bitwise operations and something, but using the layer mask structure, that makes it so much easier.
Nice. Thanks for that tip. I got a really quick question since, you showed how you set up the terrain and everything like that. This is from Jukebox5. Is there a way to turn on and off layers of terrain during runtime? Turn off grass or trees or grass structures when the player does something? It's actually kind of a good question because it's good for performance too.
That's good. I'm actually not entirely sure. I'm actually not sure about that. I mean, you can enable or disable the whole terrain, so usually what you would do is make the terrain in chunks. But yeah, erasing just the trees or things, I'm really not sure. I mean, I guess you could just alter the prefab, the material. So maybe through that, maybe make a custom shader that you can enable or disable rendering. So maybe something like that. But yeah.
This is actually a pretty complex question because it comes up a lot. Big game studios struggle with this kind of stuff as well. And there's many ways of dealing with it. Actually, almost every single guest from our Creator Spotlight series answers it in their own unique way with some custom solution. So if you want to go check it out.
I mean, the trees also have LOD. So as you can see, that's pretty much the most basic thing you can do for performance. So if I'm zoomed in, this is really high quality. If I go out, it becomes much less. So that's pretty much the main thing you would do.
Nice.
Right, so yeah, that's essentially how it identifies if the player is inside. So just as an overlap sphere, use the gas layer mask to only identify colliders within that layer mask. And also another thing that I didn't mention, it's over here on the gas. When you got this collider, make sure you set it to trigger. So this is so that it doesn't work as a physics object, as an actual solid object. So like this, you can go through it. Otherwise, this would work like an invisible wall. So not exactly what you want. So yeah, make it like that. Then over here, once you call this, then you get an array with all of the colliders within that area, within that layer mask. And yeah, then just some very basic logic, trying to see if you have any colliders. Since over here I'm using the gas layer mask, and I don't even have to test if this collider is a gas collider, because if it's on this layer, then I already know that it is. And then for the damage, I just made a simple damage timer just so it doesn't damage constantly. But yep, for the identify, that's pretty much it, just the collider. And then you deal some damage over time. Yeah, and then for the volume, modifying the weight. So that's how it, essentially, let me put it side by side. Right, so here, as you can see, as the player goes inside, and also the other thing that I didn't mention is over here, the blend distance. So as you can see, the switch between one post-processing profile and the other one, it's pretty smooth, and that's because of that one distance. So as I get within 4 units of that sphere, so as you can see the sphere right there, and if I go inside, then you can see I start taking damage. And if I'm just about outside, I don't. So that's the spheric asset work, so essentially identifying the whole thing.
Hey, no. Off. So your chat can't hear me right now.
Right.
Awesome.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then for the gas mask, that's pretty much just a game object setting it to active. So just it's just an object on the UI. So on the player, I've got a canvas, and I've got a health bar, and I've got a gas mask, which is really just a basic texture. So just like that. There you go. Just a texture that gets enabled or disabled. And for the texture, I also added some animation. So it's literally just scaling up and down, like the simplest animation, which is actually not playing right now. Oh, right, because I'm on idle. Right, yeah, so I got the idle and the move animation. So just very simple. This is one thing that is super simple to do, and it really adds quite a bit more instead of having just a static thing. So just a super basic animated controller just with a parameter. So when this parameter is through, then transitions into the moving animation. When it's false, goes back into idle. So super simple, yeah.
Yeah, I love this trick. This is really, really simple and easy. Any beginner can. It's like I often see these kind of like gas cloud as like some sort of object that you have to get past in a character for the character to get past. So it's like really such a great way to add like an additional level of immersion. Quick question for you. So all these animation systems, workflows that you've showed here, this is obviously for a 3D game, but can they be carried over to a 2D game? I often see this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah. I mean, the only difference is instead of using physics, you use the class physics 2D. So that's pretty much it. So then over here, you've got a box cast, you've got a capsule cast. So instead of a sphere, because there's no sphere in 2D, so you got a circle cast. But yeah, pretty much everything that you see works exactly the same thing, except instead of using the physics, so this is the 3D class, use the physics 2D. So yeah, and also it returns, instead of collider, it returns a collider 2D. So, but yeah, pretty much in terms of functionality, yeah, both systems work pretty much the same.
Nice. Thanks. Yeah, a lot of people always think that 2D developers think that they can't like leverage any of the assets, tools, or some of the tips. There's not that much of a difference. The notion of 3D versus 2D doesn't exist. You're actually still in a 3D space, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So all of it is applicable to a 2D developer.
Yeah, and actually, for example, I've got over here this one, the character movement fundamentals. And this one actually has an interesting top-down. It's got a top-down controller, so the camera's up top. Actually, it's not this one that I want. This one is really awesome. It's got a lot of click to move scene. Okay, I think it's this one. It's got tons of example scenes. So for example, this one, just hide the gizmos. All right, so yeah. Oh, by the way, I guess that's a nice tip, just in case you don't know. Over here, I'm on the game view, and you can see all the gizmos. So over there's a little icon, there's a little sound icon. So these are called gizmos in Unity, and by default, you see them on the scene view. So these gizmos right here. And just in case you don't know, you got that button there, so you can enable or disable them, and you can show them in the game view or in the scene view or anything. So that's sometimes super useful to know.
Nice, thanks.
Right, so yeah, what I was going to essentially on the camera, I mean, just even if you get 3D assets, if you take the camera and you make it orthographic, there you go. Now this is pretty much a 2D game. So if the character didn't rotate, then if you wanted to make something in sort of 2D, sort of 3D, then this is how you could do it. So yeah, just demonstrating how difference between 2D and 3D, yeah, it's very much, it's interchangeable, yeah.
Nice, awesome. I get that question a lot, so I really always want to like put people at ease in terms of like being able to use the tools interchangeably. I'm kind of curious in chat, if you're a 2D developer, were any of the assets from the bundle useful to you? I know there's definitely several that easily could be used, even if you're a 2D developer and if you're not making an FPS game. Definitely all the sounds, tooltip system, explosions, the grease stuff.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and even the 3D assets, I mean, 2D is really just an image. So you can just take any of these 3D assets, just place your camera, take a screenshot, copy it, and there you go. You've got a background for your 2D game. So yeah, same thing with these weapons. Like you want a weapon, well, just put them side by side, take a screenshot, and there you go. You've got a weapon for your 2D game.
Ooh, that's actually a really good tip.
Yeah, exactly. Going the other way is tricky. So going from 2D to 3D, but from 3D to 2D, yeah, that's pretty easy to do, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, actually. Yeah, we had a stream with Crying Suns, and they go from 2D to 3D, so pixel art to 3D, how to make it, and that is a process you probably don't want to do. Yeah. Awesome. Perfect. Thanks for all that tips. And then finally, what's the last mechanic we're going to take a look at?
Right, so the last mechanic is the drawing. Where's my game? It's the drawing on the minimap. Oh, look at that. Seems like the bots are winning. All right, great.
Nice.
Because my bots have pushed in almost to the end of the map. Oh, great.
I love that you switched over to bots because you thought it would be easier. Mistake. Do not trust. Cypher says, just purchase both bundles. Great bundles. Thank you. And thank you for using Code Monkey's code.
Yeah, thank you. That helps a lot. So thank you.
If you guys want to know the code for the FPS bundle and the fantasy bundle, it's going to be thrown into chat magically by the mods. The FPS one is going to be going until the end of the month, and we just extended the fantasy one. Definitely get that one. It's got some amazing tools. Even if you're not making a fantasy game, it's worth it just for a lot of the tools like
yeah,
Odin
I mean,
and whatnot.
For Odin alone, it is definitely worth it.
Worth it. We should do a whole Odin stream. I think for the amount of times that people have talked about Odin and awesome, we should invite them on and do a whole stream with those guys because they're awesome.
Yeah, it is a great tool. If you take the time to learn how to use it, it can definitely massively increase your productivity. Yeah. So yeah, the whole bundle with a huge discount. Yeah, it's definitely worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. For those who don't know, can you explain what Odin is and how
it's essentially a tool for making custom editors. So over here on the inspector, all of this is the default editor. So over here you've got a bunch of links, a bunch of things, a bunch of references. But with Odin, you can essentially customize this whole thing. So for example, on the gas game object, instead of having this the default reference, I could have, for example, a square showing an image of the gas mask, and then upon clicking, I could be able to select an object from the scene, and so on. So essentially lets you customize pretty much anything. So all of the actually, does this have custom inspector? Because a lot of assets have custom inspectors, and pretty much what Odin does. Oh, for example, over here on this project, I also have the ultimate FPS, and let's see if that opens. Yep, there you go. For example, this window, this is the kind of thing that if you use the Unity editor class, it's pretty tricky to do, but if you use Odin, this is super simple. So just making all of these tabs, all of these buttons, all of these interesting things. So pretty much Odin makes it super simple to do any of this. So that's why I say, if you take on the time to learn how it actually works and build tools to help you build your own games, it is really massively useful. Yeah.
Yeah. LurkerNinja.com says, Odin made me lazy. I have no inclination to write custom inspectors anymore. That's the point.
Yep.
Thanks for showing us.
I also have a video on my channel where I did pretty much a detailed review on Odin, and then I also did a quick getting started guide. So if you want to learn more, you can search my channel for Odin. It's a really awesome tool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to throw Code Monkey's channel. Not that I'm pretty sure everyone here follows Code Monkey, but I'll throw it in chat just in case you want to go give him a sub.
Right, so for the next mechanic, it's the drawing on the minimap, which is another thing that if you see it, it looks complex, but it really isn't. So essentially you can bring up the minimap, and then when you're using the officer class, essentially you can click, and now I can click and drag in order to pretty much give orders to my squad. So I can say, okay, go through here and do there. Now the main thing is that it's not just a fixed thing, so it's not just click and it shows an arrow. The main thing is that you can actually click and draw your own thing. So for a strategy game, this is super useful. So let's say there's an enemy here, you want your teammates to avoid it, so Just going like that. So super useful. So pretty much making this, pretty much making an arrow that you can draw in real time. So that's the mechanic, which is, again, super useful for any kind of tactics strategy game. All right, so let's see in my remake. Over here on the draw arrows. Right, so this is my project on the same thing. Then I can bring up the map and whoops. What did I do? Okay, not entirely sure, but yeah, I don't think I changed anything, but apparently something was set to null. Okay, not sure, must be an initialization issue. Anyways, so yeah, I can bring up the minimap, and now I can click and drag, and I can do pretty much anything that I want. So let's say I want my teammates to avoid this area, so I can tell them go through here and go through there. So pretty much just drawing on the UI. So this is potentially very useful if you're working on any kind of strategy game, anything where you want to give some more specific orders instead of just a straight arrow, being able to really draw pretty much any path you want. All right, so how this works, it's pretty simple once again. So here is my script. Right, so here it is. And really the only thing you need to learn in order to know how to do this, it's really just knowing how to dynamically draw a mesh. So that's something that looks pretty complex in the beginning, but it's actually quite simple once you understand how it works. So for me, I've got a really nice utilities class that I made quite a while ago. I made this for a video, but well, after 500 videos, it's kind of hard to remember where exactly I made it.
I remember that in your video too. It's like people, the thing about game dev or just programming and developing in general is you just become really good at Googling.
Yeah, exactly. That's the main skill, is knowing how, because when I started this, remaking this mechanic, I didn't remember how I made this thing of drawing a mesh on the UI, but I remember that I covered that in a video, so I just searched through my video list until I found the video where I did that, and yeah. So learning from my past self. That's great.
Good thing you documented so well.
Exactly. So yeah, drawing a mesh, super simple. You really just do new mesh, then you just manually assign the vertices, the UVs and triangles, and essentially that way you can create the dynamic mesh. So just in case you have no idea what it is that I'm talking about, actually, well, another quick tip is over here. Let me just load it, do that, and just put it side by side. Just in case you don't know, over here on the scene view, you've got this little drop-down menu where you can see all of the various ways that Unity is rendering your game. And by default, you see shaded, which means it applies all the textures and everything. But you can also, for example, see wireframe in order to be able to see the actual meshes that make up the things. And if you do that and you click and drag, you can see, look at that. That's how the mesh is being generated. So if you look at that, that's pretty much what a mesh is. It's really just polygons. So as I'm clicking and dragging, you can see that it's generating all of these. So if I put it on shade wireframe, look at that. Essentially, as I click and move, it's creating and generating the mesh. So it's really just putting one triangle in front of another one and so on. So by doing that, you can create any shape you want. So this whole thing is really just based upon a very simple dynamic mesh. So as I move the mouse, if I go into the code, it's over on the map UI. Yep, over here. Just another thing. How do you convert a mouse from screen space into local space? You can use this, the rec transform utility. This has a bunch of really useful functions. So essentially you can convert the input mouse position. So this one is in screen space. So that's different from the local space of the UI. But using this one, you can convert that into the local UI coordinates. And it's pretty much just creating a mesh. So first of all, I just create an empty mesh right on mouse button down. So as soon as you click, it creates an empty mesh. And then while you hold the mouse button down, once again, just on every update, getting the mouse local point, and just going into my utilities, adding a line point. And the only thing that this is doing is it finds the last left and right vertex. So as you can see the whole thing, so for example, that one is the left and right vertex. And then as I add a bit more, everyone just adds one tiny bit more. So that it pretty much just adds 2 polygons. So just dynamically generating the triangles. So yeah, that's pretty much what it does. It just connects those, so identifies, does a bunch of math to figure out the position of the new point, and pretty much just add the align point to the mesh. So it just grabs the vertices, the UVs, and triangles. These are the 3 arrays that you need to assign. Then you assign those onto the mesh. Just assign them, and there you go, the mesh updates. And that's pretty much it for this system. Just generates a mesh, and then the arrow is just a basic image. So for the anchored position, it gets placed on the exact last position. So as I move, you can see the arrow is placed exactly under my mouse. And yeah, for the oil angles, it's just being rotated. So yeah, Pepper likes it.
Yeah. Chat can't hear Pepper still.
All right.
No, she can. Sorry, chat.
Right, so yeah, that's the system. It's pretty much just dynamically drawing some meshes, and yep, that's pretty much it. Super simple. And again, you can imagine how you could use this to make a drawing mini game in your game. So you can let the player draw something. I mean, I can't really draw much. I'm definitely not an artist. I'm a programmer.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Perfect. Looks amazing. I think somebody asked this previously in one of your videos, like why you can also do this with line renderer, right?
Sure, yeah. I mean, this is pretty much exactly what the line renderer is doing. It's just doing that on the background so you don't see it. But yeah, that's pretty much exactly what it does. It's dynamically drawing a mesh over time. So I do think that the line renderer does have some something on the API, actually. I never tried doing that, but yeah, it's got a bunch of functions to set the position. So yeah, you could, if you wanted, instead of handling the mesh yourself, you could definitely use this, set the positions, and it would just generate the mesh. And by the way, just another quick tip, just in case you don't know how I get here, just when you mouse over, if you've got Visual Studio and it's set up to use the Unity tools, you can just put the cursor above any sort of class. Then you can right click, go into the definition, and that shows you the definition of that type. So for example, on the line render, and you can inspect and you can see, for example, all the public fields that it has, all the public functions, and so on. So whenever you don't know how to interact with something, like for example, you didn't know what was a vector 3, how does it work? I'll just go into the definition, and you can easily see, well, there you go, vector 3 has an X, Y, and Z, it has these constructors, and so on, yeah.
Nice, thanks. Perfect, thanks. I had some additional weird questions that are unrelated to this, but because we were talking about 2D earlier, how do we optimize 2D lights? Seems to not be optimized with the fastest setting.
I mean, the main thing is really just be smart with how you use them. That's pretty much it. I don't think there's any magical thing. I mean, the more lights you have, the more expensive it's going to be. So I actually haven't done a test on 2D lights, essentially to figure out which ones are more performant, because I don't know, maybe I'm thinking in 3D, because point lights in 3D are extremely expensive, so being able to swap point lights for directional lights or something like that, that's always, using spotlights, that's always much more performant.
Hey.
So
No.
on 2D, maybe using freeform lights, I'm not sure, but yeah, pretty much just, there's no magical solution, that's pretty much it, yeah.
No, definitely not. Yeah, that's a pretty difficult question. What was the game that was really clever with the lights? Used shaders. I'm not really sure what that question's about.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, sorry about the stream quality. It's because we're streaming to 2 different places, so there's a lot of bandwidth issues right now. But since Code Monkey is sharing his screen directly, you can actually go check out his stream on his YouTube channel or rewatch it after. It'll probably be the highest quality, but on the Twitch channel, it probably won't be the best. But luckily, we have it too. So yeah. Our Metis Tech asked, are lights or geometry more expensive? Generally 3D, but in either.
I mean, it's lights. Lights are very expensive. In terms of 3D, GPUs nowadays are insanely fast, so you can literally have I don't know, hundreds of thousands, millions of polygons, and really doesn't worry much. But if you have just, I don't know, just 50 lights, everything breaks down. So yeah, lights, essentially for every single light, the engine pretty much has to fake a camera from that point of view in order to see what the light sees, and then stitch all of those textures together in order to figure out what should be lit, what shouldn't be. So yeah, lights are definitely the most expensive thing possible. That is why usually if you want good lighting, you should actually use bake lighting. So on Unity, you've got the GPU light mapper. So you can use that, set all the settings, and then just bake the lights. So what that does is essentially it pre-calculates all the lights, how they should look, how the texture should look. And yeah, essentially just bakes them onto the texture. So then it has pretty much no cost during runtime. So you just bake them beforehand, and then it works great.
Yeah, this is a pretty complicated question depending on your project, what you're trying to achieve, how good your technical artist is going to be on this project. But yeah, definitely, there's a lot of definitely we have a lot of great conversations with Unity developers who talk exactly about this particular challenge in their games. Miniborg says, talk about network solutions in Unity. Yeah, we should definitely talk about that eventually. Maybe in the close future is a good primer. We'll talk about it one day. I don't know if you want to mention anything about it.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't looked into multiplayer in quite a while, but yeah, I know the ML API from what I saw looks really interesting and was acquired by Unity recently. So
yeah.
That's always the thing. There's always like 50 topics that I'd love to research, but just need to find the time to do them all. So yeah, pretty much multiplayer is on my list. Eventually, I'd love to look into that.
Yeah, keep a pin in that. We'll visit that particular request in the near future. But yeah, MLAPI is one of our, I think, better solutions, not available widely yet, but definitely there's already studios who are using it in the experimental version. So we'll definitely bring them back eventually to show you how they leveraged it. So yeah, that's a really good question. Awesome. Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to show us? I think there's another question about, oh no, that was it. Yeah. Anything else you want to show us really quick about your game?
I don't know. A while ago, somebody was mentioning Outer Wilds. So actually, I got on this project the remake that I did. So if anyone wants to look into that, it's also pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the game is great. If you haven't played it, I would definitely recommend it, especially if you like mystery type games. Yeah, it's really awesome. So yeah, one of the mechanics is that essentially you've got a scout probe launcher where you can click, you can shoot it, and essentially just a projectile just goes through. And then the main thing is that it has a camera. So that's pretty much what I remade in that video. So once again, I've got the basic first-person controller, then I've got a terrain, and then I can just shoot out a probe launcher. And there you go, it's pretty much just a projectile, it just goes somewhere. And then where it lands, you can see over there on the right side that essentially there's a camera attached to it. And using some buttons, I can actually look and see, essentially rotate the camera around, the virtual camera. So this is super useful. For example, if you send it somewhere you can see, and then you can update the camera and see exactly what the scout probe sees. So this is a really useful mechanic in the game, and it's really interesting. And once again, it's another thing that if you play the game, it looks really complex. But if you try to do it, it's actually quite simple. So for the projectile itself, it's pretty much just a projectile. So just moving forward with physics. And then what it does is it locks into the various objects. So for that, it's over here on the Scout. You can see it's got a little collider down there. So that's how it tests for when it hits on any object. So these got physical objects. So these got a box collider. So it listens to a collision and then pretty much just rotates the object, just places it on the collision point, rotates it according to normal so that it faces correctly. So if I place down, it looks down. If I place it up there, actually the connector is only on the bottom, so I can't really connect it up top. But yeah, wherever it lands essentially goes. And for the camera, that is the super useful, the render textures. So just in case you don't know what these are super useful. So essentially they are textures where you can render something onto a texture instead of rendering directly onto the screen. So I got the main camera, this one is running onto the screen, so that's what it sees here. And then for that one, there's actually another camera object right in there inside of the probe launcher. So you got this camera, and if you go over here under output, you can see output texture. So if you assign a render texture onto it, then instead of this camera being rendered onto the screen, that's going to be rendered onto this texture. And if you look into it, yep, you can see that's what the camera actually sees. So this camera you can see on the preview, yep, that's what it sees. And then just for displaying it in the UI, so this one is also super simple. I just got a basic canvas, and then inside I've got a raw image. So this is the one big difference. Normally use an image when displaying sprites in the UI, but when using a render texture, this is a texture, it's not a sprite. So in order to show this, you need to use a raw image component, which takes in a texture. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So you got a canvas, you show a raw image, and over there you can see what the camera sees. And then on the input, I'm simply just rotating that camera object. So put them side by side. And I select that camera. Ah, crap. Because it spawns and destroys the previous one. But yeah, if I select the camera and I see the camera object, and then over here, yeah, there you go. It's really just rotating the camera object, and there you go. So yeah, as you can see, also another pretty simple system.
Yeah, super simple, but great little trick. For those who are, I mean, Outer Wilds is a fan favorite, a great made with Unity game. If those who don't know, they just recently released a new DLC, and actually they're going to be invited. Yeah, they're going to be invited guests on our stream in the next couple of weeks. So look forward to that if you want to know more about them and how they built their game. They're going to reveal a lot of great information about the worlds and how they built out the system and everything, and a lot of the mechanics in it. So it's going to be good.
Sounds
so
great.
make sure you watch. Yeah, make sure you watch this stream and you watch that one.
Watch that. Yeah.
You can see how CodeMonkey did it, and you can see how they did it. There's a lot of great ways to get to the same solution. So it's really awesome.
Yeah, just say, since this stream is going on the Twitch, but also on my YouTube. If you're watching this on my YouTube, then definitely go on to watch the official Unity Twitch stream, because on there they've done a lot of interesting ones, interviewing creators where they open up their games, the Creative Spotlight series. So definitely a lot of very interesting things there. You know, there was one on Death's Door that was really interesting. Yeah. They showed how to use the floor using Pro Builder and then build the whole thing up on top of it. Then lots of post-processing. So yeah, definitely, if you want to see more behind the scenes, definitely go and check out the official Unity Twitch channel.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, sure. It's awesome.
Thank you for the plug. Similarly, you can go check out CodeMonkey. He's a great creator. And as a community team, we often recommend him as the go-to source if you want to start off. There's great beginner and advanced topics. I think a lot of times we think that a lot of the content that's created on YouTube is only for hobbyists and beginners, but I would say that I often see really advanced users browse through these videos just to like be able to remember, just like CodeMonkey said, some of the stuff that they needed to learn a while ago but forgot about. Nice. I love that we just both plugged each other's channels.
Sure.
But thanks, everyone. That's awesome. So thanks again for CodeMonkey for coming by. This is really awesome. I hope that we'll see you on here more often. The community really loves you, and super happy that the community saw your face. Sure. People had a lot of things to say about that, so that was really fun. And I hope, chat, you enjoyed. If you have any other questions, throw them our way. We have a Discord. I don't know if Hugo, you have a Discord or any community space that you'd like to plug.
Not really. I tried, but I couldn't keep up with all the comments, emails, plus Discord. That was tricky.
Sorry, guys. You overwhelmed the CodeMonkey, so sorry. Yeah, but I think for this particular stream, we broke down Verdun. Sorry, Pepper's so excited about the stream. She was very vocal today. I'm really sorry about that. But all the project files are also available. So if you missed anything, you can go check out the video. It was definitely clear on the other stream. Really sorry about the quality. We're trying something new this time. We were trying to stream to as many places as possible, but looks like quality took a tank. But no worries. It's going to be crystal clear on the CodeMonkey channel. But also, I think your project files will be available, right?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys can go check it out and take a look there if you missed anything. But yeah, thanks, everyone. If you want to see CodeMonkey come back, let us know. We look forward to working with him again. So, ooh, important question. Lego giveaway. Ooh, what was the game? I saw some really good answers. There was Valheim, the new Kenna game. Somebody said Battlefield. What did we end up picking moderators as the game that should be broken down in one of the next Code Monkey videos? Can you guys like start throwing them in chat so we can take a look really quickly? You did Valheim already, did you? I'm trying to remember. No.
I did one, but it wasn't. It was a game design overview, so it's a bit of a different format. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also interesting if you want to learn a bunch of things about that game. Yeah, definitely go watch that video because that game does a lot of things very, very well. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's another great Made with Unity game. We should definitely bring them onto the chat, into our stream as well. You showed how to build. Yeah. We'll do a poll. Throw your questions in chat. We'll go back and take a look. Oh, yes, there was Humankind. That is also a good one. That team also has been on our... they were featured in our GDC Creator Spotlight series. And yeah, another great one. Ooh, hard. There's a lot of mechanics in that. Those kind of strategy-based games are always kind of difficult. And people are saying Green Hell. Perfect. I really like Humankind because would you be willing to do a game like that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, it's pretty complex, which means it has a lot of systems that I can remake, so a lot of things to choose from, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of character classes.
But yeah, it looks very interesting, yeah.
Yeah, really great game. A lot of character classes. They all interact with each other. There's some different mechanics, like the world changes depending on which race or ethnicities you choose and history you choose. So it's a very, very interesting, very complex game. Yeah. You guys are going to give Code Monkey a run for his money here. Yeah, okay. Perfect. So I think Lurking Ninja picked that one. You got the Lego minifigure, so congrats. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. This was an awesome stream. I'm super excited, hoping to get more. Remember, go check out the two Humble Bundle packs, the FPS one and the Fantasy ones. We're throwing them in chat now. They're both Code Monkey's links, so please go support him and the stream as well, his channel as well. And as you know, all of this was being done so that we can do a showcase by next month. If you're making a game with any of these assets, or you feel like just submitting one of your games that will play by the end of the month and be featured on the Unity Play website, definitely submit to the showcase. We don't have as many. We usually get like 600 submissions, guys, by the end of these things. So I want to see those numbers go up. So yeah, thank you. Any last words, Hugo?
Sure. Thanks for having me. This was interesting. Again, first time with the camera, so face reveal. So, right, this is it. So yeah, this was interesting, but I think it went well. So yeah, thank you all for being here, for watching this. This was very interesting, and I hope you learned something from me. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you, everyone. All right, we're going to raid Scotchbox VR. Stay tuned. He's a great VR streamer, plays a lot of Made with Unity VR games. So definitely go give him a shout out over there. And thanks to Code Monkey's community. Thanks for watching and being very vocal. We'll catch you guys all next time. All right.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.